The movie opens with a young woman named Claire, who has just arrived in Berlin for a solo trip. She then checks in at a hostel, where, on the rooftop, she meets a group of youngsters who invite her to hang out. Claire also accepts and introduces herself to the group, saying she is from Brisbane, Australia. She drinks and parties with them until dawn, after which everyone finally retreats to their beds. Claire, who turns out to be a photographer, lingers behind and captures striking images of the building, before finally going to sleep. After waking up, Claire heads out to explore the city, wandering through shops and capturing photographs. She later stops at a bookshop to read, and while leaving the store, she comes across a German man whose books scatter across the floor, so Claire helps gather them, after which they introduce themselves. The man is Andy, and he appears to be fluent in English and reveals that he works as an English teacher at a local school. The two immediately hit it off and spend the day exploring together, during which Claire explains that she used to work for a real estate company, taking photographs. But she wanted to experience different things in life, so she booked a ticket to Berlin. In the evening, Andy drops Claire off at her hostel, during which she invites him to hang out, but he refuses, saying he needs to meet someone. This embarrasses Claire, and she responds that she also has to pack, as she needs to leave for Dresden the next day. The two then grow closer and nearly kiss, but eventually pull away, before Claire heads inside. Later, in her room, Claire looks through the photos she took during the day and smiles upon noticing Andy in one of them. The next day, she prepares to leave the city, but decides to visit the bookshop from yesterday, where she finds Andy once again. They spend the day together, and that night he takes her to his place, which is strangely located inside a quiet, abandoned building. Upon entering the apartment, Claire stares at the window, which Andy explains cannot be opened. Soon, the tension between them ignites, and they end up making love. Afterwards, Claire confesses that she doesn't want to leave and wishes they could stay like this forever. Later, Andy wakes up early and heads to school, leaving Claire alone in the house. She soon gets up and prepares to leave but is shocked to find the front door locked. Thinking it must be some mistake, she begins searching the house for a key, during which she discovers a bottle of nail polish. In the evening, Andy returns home, and Claire says he locked her in, and she couldn't get out. He explains that he thought he had left the key on the table and assures her she can leave after he takes a shower. The two then make love in the shower, after which they head to a club, where they dance and have fun together. The next morning, Andy prepares to leave for work again, and Claire asks for the keys, to which he gestures toward the dressing table. After he's gone, Claire searches for some food around the house but discovers a book, which she decides to open. Shockingly, it contains a nude picture of herself with the word "mine" written across the back of her shoulder. Claire quickly checks the mirror and finds the words engraved on her skin. Horrified, she grabs the key Andy left to try to open the door, but it doesn't work, leaving her trapped inside. She then reaches for her phone to call for help, only to realize that Andy has removed her SIM card. Desperate, Claire grabs a chair and smashes the window, but once she's through, she finds a second window with reinforced glass that is unbreakable. Shortly after, Andy returns home with flowers and blocks her path when she tries to leave. After locking the door, he sees the entire place in disarray. Claire pleads with him to let her go and demands to know what's happening, so Andy coldly explains that it's because she herself said she didn't want to go to Dresden. Claire insists she said that after they became intimate and didn't truly mean it. She then aggressively attacks him and demands he open the door, but he overpowers her effortlessly, reminding her that no one can hear her screams. The next day, Andy visits his father and tells him that he has started seeing a new girl. His father is surprised and asks what happened to his previous girlfriend, Natalie, to which Andy replies that she went back to Canada. He reveals that the new girl's name is Claire and that she's from Australia, leaving his father confused as to why he always dates tourists. Through a flashback, we see Andy dragging a half-naked Claire onto a bed with a plastic sheet and tying her up before leaving. Upon returning home, Andy releases her from the bed and hands her a puzzle he brought for her. He casually mentions that he texted her mom, informing her that she is okay. An exhausted Claire warns that her mom will figure it out soon and retreats to the bathroom to clean up. Here her eyes widen in horror when she finds strands of blonde hair on the drain, revealing that Andy had abducted some other girl before her. The next morning, Andy takes a disturbing picture of her, and after that, he leaves for work without tying her this time, as she can't escape anyway. He carefully locks the keys along with Claire's belongings in a lockbox and leaves it on a shelf in the building corridor. As soon as he's gone, Claire begins snooping around the apartment and soon discovers a screwdriver hidden under the couch. In the evening, Andy returns home and notices Claire working on the puzzles he brought for her. He sits down beside her to solve the puzzle. And while he's distracted,
Done.
she quickly grabs the keys and hurriedly exits the apartment. Claire manages to reach the courtyard, but to her shock, she finds another door blocking her path. Unfortunately, Andy appears and slams the door on her hand, causing her to break her fingers. The poor woman soon passes out, and Andy carries her back to the apartment, where he tends to his wound. The following day, Claire pleads with him, telling him she misses her mom, but Andy coldly replies that there's no point in missing something she'll never get back. He once again takes her picture and moves to another room, which he always keeps locked. The next day, at school, Andy begins creepily staring at a student named Franca during gym class, and she also notices his unsettling gaze. Meanwhile, at home, Claire attempts to open the door of the mysterious room using paper clips but is unsuccessful. She also accidentally snaps the piece of paper clip inside the door and worries that the psychopath will discover her attempt. In the evening, Andy returns home and checks Claire's hand injuries before proceeding to bathe her. During this, Franca's voice is heard on the door, and Andy warns Claire to stay quiet, or he will have to kill the girl. Andy is then shocked to see his student and asks how she got here, to which she responds that the coalman let her in. At this moment, Claire arrives wearing only a towel, and when Franca asks who she is, Andy responds that she is his girlfriend. Franca feels disappointed and mentions that she saw the way he looked at her in school, but he clarifies that it wasn't intentional. He then threatens to report her if she comes here again, leaving Franca with no choice but to leave. Later, Claire asks who the girl was, and Andy casually replies that she is his student, Franca. He then proceeds to cut Claire's hair, after which he takes more bizarre photographs of her. But when he tries to go to the special room, it doesn't open, which makes him realize that Claire had attempted something. As time passes, Christmas Eve arrives, during which Andy brings lingerie for Claire and forces her to wear it. She then calls him abnormal, which enrages him to the point that he hits her and storms out of the room. The poor woman begins getting dressed, and in the process, she discovers nail clippings under the bed. Following this, Andy goes to visit his dad for Christmas, leaving Claire completely alone in the apartment. The electricity is soon cut off, and she is left shivering in the freezing cold. Elsewhere, Andy goes to wake his dad one morning and is distraught to find that the man has passed away. He proceeds to cut his father's toenails, while Claire is seen painting her own nails at the apartment. Andy then spends time with his father's dead body, while Claire struggles in the cold with very little food to sustain herself. After finally informing the authorities about his deceased father, Andy returns to his apartment and tells Claire what happened. Here she states that she thought he wasn't going to come back and tries to comfort him. The distraught man hugs her tightly while crying, and in the heat of the moment, Claire suddenly begins kissing him, leading them to make love. In the following days, Claire begins to gradually accept her new reality and begins cooking and cleaning around the apartment. One evening, she plays music for him, and he gives her a book with a message, "To me, you're perfect." Claire asks how he chose her, and he responds that he saw her on the street and planned their meeting. She then questions him about the girl before her, and he insists there was no one, but Claire can clearly see he's lying. She asks if he still thinks about her, but he responds no and becomes visibly annoyed by her questioning. Later, Andy asks her to close her eyes, and when she obliges, he brings out his dad's dog as a surprise gift. Claire's face lights up with excitement, and she's thrilled to finally have a companion amid her dire situation. The following day, Andy finally takes Claire outside for the first time since abducting her. They drive to the woods, and Claire excitedly begins exploring everything with childlike wonder. But then, Andy grabs an axe to attack her, right when a child appears, revealing that his brother has hurt his leg. Andy rushes to help the injured child, while Claire seizes the chance to plead with the other to call the police. Unfortunately, the boy doesn't understand English and becomes irritated by her frantic words, causing him to shout. Andy realizes what Claire tried to do, right when the children's mother arrives and takes them away. Frustrated, Andy takes Claire back to the car and forces her into the trunk. He drives her home, where he surrounds her with lights and takes more photographs of her half-naked. In the following days, Claire grows increasingly close to the dog, which seems to make the psychopath jealous. One evening, Andy takes the dog for a walk but returns home alone. When Claire asks about the dog, he claims that it ran away, which leaves the poor woman heartbroken. On New Year's Eve, Andy goes to attend a party hosted by his colleagues, while Claire stays home and finally manages to open the mysterious locked room after multiple attempts. Inside, she finds a camera and a photo album containing all the disturbing pictures Andy had taken of her. There is a massage chair, and next to it, Claire discovers another album. This one holds Andy's childhood photos, but at the very end, she sees pictures of the blonde girl he had locked in the room before her, leaving Claire horrified. Back at the party, Andy doesn't seem to be enjoying himself, right when one of his female colleagues asks him to have fun, but he accuses her of throwing herself at him despite being in a relationship. This leaves the woman offended and a bit scared, so she demands that he leave. Andy then goes outside, where he approaches a tourist woman to flirt and tries to use the same technique he used on Claire. Fortunately for her, her friend appears in time and takes her away, saying their taxi has arrived. Returning to Claire, she notices a light shining from a nearby apartment and begins screaming for help, while even trying to shatter the window. A man finally notices her and rushes to her building to help. But unfortunately, as he tries to open the door, the man collapses to the floor, after which Andy repeatedly hits him until he dies. A horrified Claire begins crying, but Andy blames her for causing this and orders her to clean up the scene. He then wraps the body in plastic and stuffs it into a garbage can outside, before setting it on fire. The next day, Andy is reading the newspaper when he notices Claire's picture labeled as a missing tourist. And so, he tells Claire to pack her things, saying they will fumigate the apartment tomorrow. Claire notices him checking students' notebooks and sees Franca's name in one of them. This sparks an idea in her, so she deliberately burns his hand on the stove. A worried Andy goes to fetch medicine in the bathroom, during which Claire steals Franca's notebook. The next day, Andy leaves with all his belongings, and afterward, Claire realizes that he has also cut off the water supply, suggesting he's planning to abandon her. Later, at school, Andy returns the students' graded notebooks, but Franca is horrified when she discovers a disturbing picture of Claire inside her notebook. She calmly requests to go to the bathroom, but in her haste, she accidentally drops the picture. Franca then cycles away from school, while the other students find the picture in the classroom and are horrified. A confused Andy demands to know what is happening and begins to panic when a student hands him the disturbing picture. Without wasting any time, Andy immediately rushes home but gets stuck in traffic, which causes him to delay. When he finally arrives at the building, he notices that Franca has broken in through a basement window. A panicked Andy reaches the courtyard, only to be shocked to see a hammer and the empty locked box that contained Claire's belongings. He quickly rushes upstairs but finds no one in the apartment, which heightens his anxiety. At one point, Andy hears a noise coming from the upstairs apartment, so he grabs a weapon and cautiously heads there. He breaks down the door, and Franca is seen hiding nearby while holding her breath. But before he can find her, Claire calls from below, prompting him to rush immediately toward her. Andy then enters his apartment while calling out for Claire and soon notices his special room, which is now open. While he's distracted looking at the album, Claire seizes the moment to sneak out and calls his name before locking him inside his own apartment. The panicked man now begs Claire to open the door, but she refuses and screams in triumph for finally being free. We notice that she has retrieved her belongings and passport from the locked box. She then goes upstairs and releases Franca, who had been hiding in the cupboard. The girl seems shaken, so Claire comforts her and assures her it's okay. As the movie ends, Claire is seen riding through Berlin's streets in a cab and enjoying her newfound freedom, while the psychopath is seen relaxing in the massage chair, where he will be trapped forever. Thus, we reach the end of this movie. Thanks for watching. If you like the movie, support us. Don't forget to subscribe for more movie recaps. See you in the next movie. Goodbye.